World War II forced soldiers and civilians alike to survive under conditions most of us today could hardly imagine. Hunger, exposure, and the constant threat of enemy forces pushed ingenuity to extremes. Some of the survival methods developed during the war were so ruthless and effective that they were officially banned after 1945. These weren't gimmicks or exaggerated legends. They were real tactics used by desperate men and women to stay alive. If you're a history enthusiast, a prepper, or a survivalist, understanding these strategies isn't just fascinating. It's an insight into human resilience and the raw edge of survival. Today, I'm going to walk you through 8 of these brutal World War II survival tricks, explain the contexts in which they were used, and offer practical ways you can apply the underlying lessons in modern survival scenarios. Soldiers learned to eat anything to survive, including insects and raw meat. One of the most shocking aspects of wartime survival was the willingness to consume almost anything edible. Soldiers trapped behind enemy lines in Europe and the Pacific developed a taste for insects, snails, and even raw rodents. These methods were not for the squeamish. In North Africa, Allied troops learned from local Bedouins that fried locusts and scorpions were high in protein and could sustain life when rations ran out. In practice, survivalists today can take this as a lesson in protein sourcing. Knowing which local insects or wild animals are safe to consume can be the difference between life and death in a crisis. Always familiarize yourself with edible species in your area and understand preparation techniques to neutralize toxins. Makeshift medical procedures saved lives at the front. When supplies ran out, soldiers had to improvise medical treatments in ways that would now be considered extreme. Field amputations using improvised antiseptics from alcohol or even urine were carried out when infection threatened to kill. These brutal medical tactics were life-saving when modern equipment was unavailable. For modern preppers, this underscores the importance of learning practical first aid and improvisation. Knowing how to sterilize tools, treat infections with limited resources, or create simple splints from natural materials can prevent small injuries from becoming fatal in emergencies. Using extreme camouflage could hide soldiers from enemy forces. World War II soldiers developed camouflage techniques so innovative that they bordered on the grotesque. In some cases, they would cover themselves with mud, leaves, or even enemy debris to avoid detection. In the Pacific, some soldiers used jungle vines and mud to remain invisible during patrols. While gruesome, these tactics teach a timeless lesson in concealment. Modern survivalists can adapt these principles for urban or wilderness situations, using natural materials and terrain features to stay hidden without sophisticated gear. Improvised traps and snares could, secure food without conventional weapons. With limited access to hunting equipment, soldiers and civilians constructed deadly traps from wire, wood, or other scavenged materials. Some traps were simple, yet effective enough to capture rabbits, birds, or even small pigs. These methods often skirted ethical boundaries, but, they were essential for survival. Today, learning the principles behind these traps can really improve your ability to secure food in a prolonged emergency, teaching patience, observation, and knowledge of animal behavior. Water purification was done with chemicals and fire when nothing else was available. Water scarcity forced soldiers to get creative. They boiled water in makeshift containers, used charcoal filters, or added chemicals like iodine when purification tablets were unavailable. Some even used improvised solar stills or buried water containers to cool and filter them. The takeaway for preppers is clear: having multiple methods to make water safe, from boiling and filtration to chemical treatments, is honestly critical. Understanding the science behind each method ensures you're not just following a checklist, but actually securing drinkable water. Psychological tricks kept soldiers alert and alive under extreme stress. Beyond physical survival, mental endurance was crucial. Soldiers developed personal rituals, memorized routines, and even constructed mental safe zones to cope with stress. These practices allowed them to make clear-headed decisions under life-threatening circumstances. Modern survivalists can adopt similar mental strategies. Structured routines, stress management, and mental visualization techniques improve decision-making in high-pressure situations. Extreme warmth tactics included forbidden fires and clothing adaptations. Keeping warm in freezing conditions meant breaking conventional rules. In Eastern Europe, soldiers used heated rocks, layered unconventional clothing, and even animal hides salvaged from battlefields to survive harsh winters. Some methods were later banned due to fire hazards or cruelty, but they were effective. For modern preppers, this teaches resourcefulness. Understanding how to insulate, efficiently use heat sources safely, and repurpose available materials can be a literal lifesaver when temperatures plummet. Concealment of resources ensured survival in occupied territories. During the war, civilians often hid food, weapons or medicine in ways that prevented discovery by occupying forces. In France and Poland, families dug underground caches or created false walls to store essentials. The brutal reality was that discovery could mean execution, so secrecy was absolute. Today, this principle translates to strategic storage and resource management. Knowing how to conceal critical supplies safely in your environment ensures you can rely on them when every other option is gone. The lessons from these WWII survival tricks are more than history. They're practical tools for anyone serious about prepping or understanding human endurance under pressure. They teach adaptation, resourcefulness, and mental toughness, all essential qualities in extreme situations. Each trick reflects a mindset of doing whatever it takes to survive while thinking several steps ahead, often under impossible circumstances. If you're fascinated by this blend of history and survival, make sure to subscribe to The Prepper Historian for more deep dives into forgotten tactics and extreme strategies from the past. Share this video with fellow enthusiasts who want to see the brutal ingenuity that helped people survive one of the deadliest conflicts in history. These are lessons worth remembering, not just for history, but for life itself.